All right, let's talk about the one word in construction that can make even the most seasoned project manager sweat: change. Today, we're going to break down the official rulebook for handling it, FIDIC's Clause 13. Think of this as your 5-minute guide to turning potential chaos into a predictable, manageable process.
So, why is that? I mean, really, why is change such a feared word? We're in an industry that's all about blueprints, precision, and planning every single detail. So, what is it about that one little word that just seems to throw a wrench in the works?
Well, it's pretty simple, right? When it's not managed, change is basically a recipe for disaster. It's what leads to those dreaded budget overruns, schedule delays, and, let's be honest, some pretty heated disputes. But here's the thing, it really doesn't have to be that way. What if change wasn't this big, scary monster? What if it was just a procedure? That's exactly what FIDIC Clause 13 does. It gives us a playbook to turn chaos into a clear, predictable set of steps.
So, here's what we're going to cover. First, what exactly is a variation? Then we'll look at the 3 main ways a change can happen, who does what in that process, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with some key takeaways for all you engineers out there.
Okay, let's dive right in. Before we can go any further, we've got to be speaking the same language. When FIDIC talks about a variation, it's not just any old tweak to the plan. Oh no, it's a very specific, legally defined term.
And there it is, straight from the source. A variation is any change to the works which is instructed as a variation under Clause 13. And that last part, that's everything. That's the key. If a change doesn't follow the official procedure, it's not an official compensable variation. This one rule is basically the foundation for keeping your scope, your budget, and maybe your sanity in check.
So, what counts as a variation? Well, as you can see, it covers a lot of ground. It's not just, adding an extra wall or taking one out. We're talking changes to quantities, quality, dimensions, even omitting work altogether. It could even be something as big as changing the entire sequence of how you build. And that is exactly why having this clear, structured process is so critical. And just so we're all clear, everything we're talking about today is grounded in the FIDIC Red Book, the 2017 edition. This isn't some academic theory. This is the real deal, the globally recognized standard that governs major construction projects all over the world. All right, so we know what a variation is. The next logical question is how they actually happen. It's not just some random phone call. FIDIC lays out 3 very distinct, very formal paths for getting a change started. Path number 1 is probably the one you're most familiar with. Variation by instruction. This is the most direct route. The engineer spots something that needs to change, and they give a formal instruction to the contractor to make it happen. From there, the contractor's job is to execute the change and then come back with the full breakdown of how it's going to impact the schedule and the budget. Now, I want you to burn this number into your brain: 28. 28 days. That is how long the contractor has to submit their detailed particulars after getting that instruction. If you miss that window, you could forfeit your right to claim any extra time or money for that change. It is a massive deal, a hard deadline with serious commercial consequences. Path 2 is a little more collaborative. Think of it as a what-if scenario. Here, the engineer isn't just ordering a change, they're exploring an option. They ask the contractor for a proposal on a potential change. This is super smart because it lets the employers see the full impact on time and cost before they commit. If they like what they see, then and only then will a formal instruction be issued. And then there's path 3, which is my personal favorite: value engineering. This is where the contractor gets to be proactive. This is initiated by the contractor. If you're on the ground and you see a better, faster, or cheaper way to do something that's going to benefit the employer, you can propose it. It's a total win-win that turns the contractor's on-the-ground expertise into a shared benefit for the project. Okay, we've covered the what's and the how. Now let's clarify the who. For this whole process to work smoothly, everyone has to know exactly what their job is. Let's break this down. First, you've got the engineer. Think of them as the project's director. They instruct variations, request proposals, and figure out the final adjustments, all on behalf of the employer. Then you have the contractor. They're the ones in the trenches actually doing the work, submitting the paperwork, and bringing those smart ideas through value engineering. And finally, the employer. They're the ultimate authority, the one for whom the project is being built. Getting these roles straight is the #1 way to prevent disputes down the road. So let's bring this all together. If you're a civil or construction engineer, what are the absolute must-knows to navigate Clause 13 effectively in the real world? Here's your playbook.
First, you have got to master the clock. That 28-day deadline we talked about, it is not a suggestion. Document everything. Second, know your rights. You can actually give notice if a variation is unforeseeable, requires stuff you can't get, or if it impacts safety. Third, be proactive. Use that value engineering clause to propose solutions and really show your value. And finally, look beyond scope changes. Remember, this framework also covers adjustments for big picture stuff like new laws or huge shifts in cost.
So here's the bottom line. Clause 13 isn't a restriction, it's a tool. It's a structured framework designed to make an unpredictable process manageable. The real question to leave you with is this. Now that you have the rulebook, how will you use it to transform the inevitable challenge of change into an opportunity for collaboration, innovation, and success on your next project?